#10 New Sinister Trucker Horror Stories from America's Creepiest Roads. Story 1. The Mile Marker That Counts Down. The numbers on the mile markers were running backward, and I'd been driving forward for the past 6 hours straight. Mile marker 247, then 246, then 245. It should have been impossible on Interstate 90 heading east through Montana, where the numbers climbed toward the Dakotas, not fall. But there they were, descending in my headlights every 0.8 miles like a countdown to something I couldn't name. My speedometer said 65. My GPS said I was stationary. The road kept disappearing under my tires. My name is Patricia Sullivan, and I'd been hauling refrigerated produce for Cisco for 11 years before that night in February 2022. I knew every truck stop between Seattle and Minneapolis, knew which way stations had the cruelest inspectors, knew the exact spot on I-90 where you could see 3 states at once if the weather was clear. I knew roads. Roads were logic. Miles accumulated. Numbers increased. Reality followed rules. But at 2:47 a.m., somewhere between Billings and Miles City, reality had stopped following anything. I'd noticed the first backward marker around midnight. Mile 312 instead of 314. I'd assumed it was vandalism, some bored kid with too much time, maybe the Montana Department of Transportation installing new markers in the wrong order. But then came 311, then 310. Then 309, 308, 307, each one appearing exactly when it should have appeared if the road was running in reverse, if I was traveling backward through space while moving forward through it. I'd tried calling dispatch. No signal. Not unusual out here where cell towers were separated by 50 miles of nothing, but my radio was dead too, just static that sounded almost like breathing. I'd tried pulling over. The shoulder had no shoulder anymore, just a white line that dropped into black nothing, the kind of black that wasn't darkness but absence, like the world simply stopped existing 3 feet from the asphalt. So I drove. What else could you do? The road behind me looked normal in the mirrors, mile markers increasing like they should, but when I passed them they were wrong, counting down, always down. My cargo of lettuce and tomatoes for a grocery chain in Rapid City sat cold and ignorant in the trailer behind me, 43,000 pounds of produce that would rot in a world that made sense, but we weren't in that world anymore. Mile marker 200 passed, then 199. I'd been driving for 3 hours since I noticed, burning diesel, covering distance that should have put me in North Dakota by now. My GPS showed my truck icon frozen on I-90 west of Billings, hadn't moved an inch. The road stretching ahead looked identical to the road I'd already covered. Same gentle curves, same distant mountains, same lack of anything except asphalt and painted lines and those markers counting down to 0. What happens at 0? The question had started as a whisper in my mind and grown into a scream. What happens when the numbers run out? Would the road end? Would I disappear? Would something appear? I'd thought about stopping, about just killing the engine and waiting for dawn, but the nothing beside the road terrified me more than the road itself. At least the road was something. At least while I drove, I was still moving, still existing in some form. Mile marker 150. My fuel gauge hadn't moved. Still 3/4 full, same as it had been at midnight. That should have been comforting, infinite fuel for an infinite road, but it wasn't. It was wrong. Everything was wrong. I'd drunk 2 cups of coffee since this started and hadn't needed to piss once. My body wasn't processing time anymore, wasn't processing anything except the steady rhythm of foot on pedal, hands on wheel, eyes on road. The radio static changed. Not breathing anymore, but talking, dozens of voices layered over each other, all saying different things too quietly to understand. I caught fragments. Turn back, keep going. 0 is the origin. She's already gone. I turned it off. The voices continued. They weren't coming from the radio anymore. They were coming from the spaces between things, from the gaps in reality that this road had opened. Mile marker 100. I'd been driving for 5 hours of impossible time. My eyes felt fine, no fatigue, no road hypnosis, just perfect clarity of a situation I couldn't understand. I thought about my daughter in Portland. She'd be 12 now. Or had she always been 12? Had time outside this road continued, or had everything stopped when the markers started running backward? Was I the only one moving in a frozen world? Or was the world moving without me, continuing toward a future I'd never reach? The mountains on the horizon never got closer. They sat there like a painting, two-dimensional, not real anymore if they'd ever been real. The stars didn't move. I'd been trained in navigation. During a brief stint in the merchant marines before trucking, I knew how stars wheeled across the sky, how constellations shifted position through the night. These stars were frozen. The sky was a photograph. The only real things were me, the truck, and this road counting down to something. Mile marker 50. The voices in the static were screaming now, all of them, a chorus of drivers who'd maybe found this road before me, who'd counted down to 0 and found whatever waited there. I could almost make out words. Don't reach 0, overlapping with 0 is the only way out, overlapping with there is no 0, there is no one, there is no. I grabbed my logbook, needed something concrete, something that proved I existed before this. The pages were blank, not empty, blank. Every entry I'd made for 11 years of driving was gone, the paper pristine and white and impossible. I threw it at the passenger window. It passed through the glass like smoke. The glass didn't break. The logbook just disappeared into the nothing beside the road. My hands on the steering wheel looked strange. Too pale, too thin. I could see veins I'd never noticed before, could see tendons moving under skin that seemed translucent in the dashboard lights. Was I disappearing? Was the road erasing me slowly, mile by backward mile, until I'd reach 0 as nothing at all? Mile marker 25. I made a decision. I grabbed the CB radio, forced myself to speak into it even though I knew no one would answer. This is Patricia Sullivan, Cisco driver 447, traveling eastbound on I-90 through Montana. If anyone can hear this, if anyone ever hears this, don't drive at night between Billings and Miles City. Don't drive when the mile markers start counting down. There's something wrong with the road. There's something wrong with. The CB melted in my hand. Not hot, not burning, just melting like wax, plastic and metal running between my fingers like liquid, dripping onto the floor where it disappeared. My hand was fine, not burned, just covered in the sensation of something that had been solid becoming something else. Mile marker 10. The road ahead was changing. The asphalt was the same, but something beyond it was different, like looking at a photograph where the foreground is sharp, but the background is blurred wrong, distorted in ways that hurt to see. Reality was thinner ahead. The road was taking me somewhere that wasn't Montana, wasn't America, wasn't anywhere that existed on maps. Mile marker 5, I could see it now. 0 wasn't a place you reached, it was a place you became. The road wasn't taking me somewhere else. It was unmaking me, counting down the miles of my existence, reducing me to nothing one marker at a time. The backward numbers weren't measuring distance. They were measuring me, and I was almost gone. Mile marker 4. My trailer was gone. I checked the mirrors, nothing behind me except the tractor, the fifth wheel connecting to empty air. 43,000 pounds of produce had disappeared. When had that happened? Had it been gradual, or had it vanished all at once while I was focused on the countdown? Mile marker 3. The passenger seat was gone. Then the sleeper berth. The truck was unmaking itself around me, leaving only what I needed to keep driving: seat, wheel, pedals, windshield. Everything else was dissolving into the nothing beside the road. Mile marker 2. I couldn't remember my daughter's name anymore. I knew I had a daughter, knew she was 12, knew she lived in Portland, but her name was gone from my mind like water through fingers. Other memories followed: my ex-husband's face, my mother's voice, the name of the street I grew up on. The road was taking everything. I was becoming nothing but a driver, nothing but hands on a wheel moving towards 0. Mile marker 1. I could see marker 0 ahead now, maybe a quarter mile down the road. It wasn't a marker. It was a vertical line of perfect darkness, a seam in reality, the edge of everything. When I passed through it, I would stop existing. Not die, dying implied becoming something else, a body, a memory. This was absolute cessation. I would cross 0 and there would be no Patricia, no truck, no road. There would be no nothing, there would simply be not. I slammed the brakes, the truck kept moving. 65 miles per hour towards 0. I turned the wheel hard right. The truck kept straight. It wasn't mine anymore. It was the roads. I was the roads. We'd always been the roads from the moment I'd entered this impossible stretch of I-90, from the moment the numbers started counting backward. Mile marker 0 was 50 feet ahead, then 30, then 10. I closed my eyes, felt the truck cross the threshold, felt reality come apart like wet paper. Felt nothing, and then I felt everything start again. When I opened my eyes, I was parked at a rest stop outside Miles City, Montana. My truck was intact, trailer full, cargo cold. My logbook showed normal entries. Dawn was BR. Eking over the mountains, my phone had 17 missed calls from dispatch. But my odometer had stopped. It read exactly 247,312 miles. And when I looked in the rearview mirror, I could see them behind me, standing along the roadside in the pale morning light. Dozens of figures in trucker uniforms, translucent and wrong, watching me with eyes that knew zero. They'd been at zero, they'd crossed it, and somehow, impossibly, they'd come back. But the numbers on their license plates were counting down. Asterisk story 2, the girl who rode in every truck. She was in my passenger seat when I woke up at the Flying J in Little Rock, and I'd gone to sleep alone. Not sleeping in a cute way, actually asleep, mouth open, head against the window, dried drool on her chin. She looked about 19, dark hair in a messy bun, wearing a University of Arkansas hoodie and jeans that had seen better days. I did what any reasonable person would do. I screamed and nearly pissed myself. Her eyes snapped open. "Oh," she said, voice thick with sleep. "New truck." "Get the fuck out." I was already reaching for my phone, ready to call 911, pepper spray, anything. My name's Marcus Chen, and I'd been hauling auto parts from Detroit to Dallas for 6 years. And in those 6 years, I'd dealt with lot lizards, hitchhikers, and one memorable guy who thought he could hide in the trailer with my cargo of Chevrolet transmissions. But I'd never had someone just materialize in my locked cab. "Can't," she said, rubbing her eyes. "Tried for 3 years, I'm stuck. I'm calling the cops." "They won't see me," she yawned, stretched. "Nobody sees me except drivers, and only when I'm in their trucks. You stop, I get out, I disappear. To you, to me, to everyone." My finger hovered over 911. "You're insane." "Probably," she agreed. "I've been riding in 18-wheelers since June 7th, 2019. Haven't been outside a truck cab for more than 5 minutes in 3 years. My name's was Emma Reeves. I was 19. I don't know what I am now." I stared at her. She looked solid, real. I could see her chest moving as she breathed, could see the individual threads in her hoodie. "How did you get in here?" "I locked the doors." "I don't use doors anymore." She said it matter-of-factly, like discussing the weather. "I'm in trucks, that's all I am now. I don't remember the last time I was in a building or stood on ground that wasn't a parking lot. Every time a driver parks and gets out, I black out. When I wake up, I'm in a different truck, sometimes 5 minutes later, sometimes 5 months later. Time's weird now." This was crazy. She was crazy. But my doors were locked, no one had broken in, and she was here, solid and real and terrifying in her calmness. "What do you want?" "To figure out how to leave." She looked out the windshield at the truck stop. "Or to understand why I can't. Your driver number. I've lost count. Maybe 200, 3. I wake up, explain myself to a driver who thinks I'm insane or a ghost or a hallucination, and then they park somewhere and I disappear into the next truck. It's a loop. I'm trapped in a loop of truck cabs crossing America forever." I should have thrown her out. Should have driven straight to the nearest police station and let them figure it out. But something in her eyes stopped me. Exhaustion beyond anything physical, the look of someone who'd been lost for so long they'd forgotten what being found felt like. "Prove it," I said. "Prove you're not just some junkie who broke into my truck." She sighed. "You're hauling auto parts, mostly transmissions, weight 41,000 pounds. Your wife's name is Jennifer. She called you last night at 10:47 p.m. You talked for 12 minutes about your son's baseball game. You have a tattoo of a dragon on your left shoulder that you got in Sacramento in 2015. You ate a chicken sandwich for dinner at 8 p.m. and it gave you heartburn. You have $732 in your wallet and a photo of your family tucked into the sun visor." My blood went cold. All of that was true, all of it. How? "I was in the last truck you passed on I-40 about 200 miles back. Saw you through the window, saw inside your cab. I can see everything when I'm between trucks for just a second. Then I'm somewhere new." She pulled down the visor. The photo fell into her lap. My wife, my son, my daughter, all smiling at the Grand Canyon last summer. "I've seen inside 10,000 trucks. I know things I shouldn't know. I know drivers better than they know themselves." I grabbed the photo back. That doesn't prove anything except you're good at cold reading or... Your brother died in 2011, car accident on Route 66. You became a trucker because he loved road trips and you wanted to feel close to him. You haven't told anyone that, not even Jennifer. But I know because 3 months ago I was in a truck next to Yo. Ers at a rest stop in Oklahoma, and I saw you crying while looking at a photo of him. My throat closed. That was impossible. No one knew that. That was locked in my head, private grief I'd never spoken aloud. She wasn't human anymore. That was clear now. Human beings couldn't know those things, couldn't appear in locked trucks, couldn't survive 3 years of existence hopping between vehicles. She was something else, something the road had made. "What happened to you?" I asked quietly. "I was hitchhiking," she said. "Stupid, I know, but I was broke and trying to get home to Fayetteville from Memphis. Trucker picked me up. Nice guy, chatty, seemed safe. We drove for about an hour on I-40. Then he pulled over at a rest stop, said he needed to use the bathroom. He got out. I was checking my phone. I heard the door close. And then..." She trailed off, staring at nothing. "Then what?" "Then I wasn't anymore, not in the normal way. I felt myself spread out like I was being stretched across distance. And when I came back together, I was in a different truck, different driver. Hours had passed. The nice guy was gone. I tried to get out, opened the door, stepped onto the asphalt, and I disappeared, just blinked out of existence. Came back in another truck, different state, different driver. That's been my life for 3 years. I'm a ghost, but I'm not dead. I'm trapped, but there's no prison. I'm everywhere and nowhere, always moving, never arriving." I started driving, didn't know what else to do. She sat in the passenger seat, quiet now, watching America roll by through the windshield. Oklahoma turned to Texas, miles accumulating, destination approaching. She didn't disappear, didn't flicker or fade, just sat there, solid and impossible. "Other drivers see you?" I asked after an hour. "Some, most think they're hallucinating. One guy tried to exorcise me, threw holy water on the dashboard. Didn't work. I'm not a demon, I'm just stuck." She smiled grimly. "I tried jumping out of a moving truck once. Thought maybe that would free me, kill me properly or shock me back to normal. I opened the door at 70 miles per hour and jumped. Blacked out midair, woke up in a truck in Oregon. Didn't even get hurt. Can't die, can't leave, can't stop." We drove through Dallas, dropped my cargo, picked up a new load, industrial machinery heading to Phoenix. Emma stayed the whole time. Didn't disappear when I got out at the warehouse. Didn't fade when I walked 50 feet from the truck. She was still there when I climbed back in, sitting in the exact same position. "This is new," she said, sounding worried. "I've never stayed with one driver this long. Usually I'm gone by now. Maybe you're stuck to me specifically. Or maybe it's getting worse." She looked at her hands like they were foreign objects. "Maybe I'm not disappearing because I'm finally disappearing all the way. Maybe this is the end, where I just stop existing entirely instead of jumping between trucks." But she didn't stop existing. She stayed. Mile after mile, hour after hour, day after day. I drove from Dallas to Phoenix to Los Angeles to Portland to Seattle, and Emma Reeves remained in my passenger seat, a permanent hitchhiker I couldn't shake. Other drivers started noticing at truck stops, asking who the girl was, why she looked so tired, whether she was okay. That had never happened before. She was becoming more real somehow, more visible. And I was becoming less. It started small, forgetting the name of a rest stop, forgetting what cargo I was hauling, looking in the mirror and not recognizing my face for a moment before memory caught up. Emma noticed. "You're fading," she said one night outside Spokane. "I'm solidifying, we're trading places." "That's impossible." "I've been impossible for 3 years. You've had an impossible girl in your truck for 2 weeks. We're past impossible, Marcus. The road is taking you. It took me 3 years ago, and now it's taking you, and I don't know how to stop it." My phone stopped working. Not dead, it had power, had signal. But when I called Jennifer, she didn't recognize my voice. Said no one was there. Said she was getting a blank call. When I called dispatch, they said driver 447 wasn't responding, had been off comms for days. They were looking for me, but I was right here. Emma was right. We were trading. She was becoming real again, anchoring to the physical world through my presence. And I was becoming what she had been, a ghost in trucks, visible only to other drivers, fading from normal reality. "We have to go back," Emma said urgently. Back to where it happened to me, I-40, that rest stop. Maybe if we're both there, maybe we can reverse it. We drove through the night, pushing hard, violating every HOS regulation. I could feel myself slipping away. My tattoo was fading, literally fading from my skin like old ink. My memories of Jennifer's face were blurring. The Fies. Eichel world was becoming distant, unreal, like watching life through cloudy glass. The rest stop appeared in my headlights. Just a standard rest area, picnic tables and bathrooms and vending machines. Nothing special, nothing evil, just a place where something had gone wrong 3 years ago. We both got out. Emma stepped onto the asphalt and didn't disappear. I stepped onto the asphalt and felt myself fragmenting, spreading across distance, becoming untethered. "It's working," Emma shouted, and she was solid now, completely real, color returning to her skin. "You're freeing me, you're taking my place." I tried to scream but had no voice, tried to run but had no legs. I was spreading across America, consciousness stretching along highways, experiencing 1,000 trucks simultaneously. I was in Montana and Florida and Maine all at once, seeing through the eyes of drivers who couldn't see me, feeling the hum of engines I couldn't touch. Emma ran. I saw her through a dozen sets of eyes, drivers passing the rest stop, watching a girl sprint away from a parked truck, solid and real and alive again. She made it to the exit. She made it to the road. She escaped. And I became the one who rides in every truck. I'm still here, still jumping between cabs, waking up in different vehicles, different states, different drivers who can't explain how I appeared. I try to warn them, try to tell them not to stop at that rest stop on I-40. But time is weird now, and I don't know if I'm warning them before or after it happens. Sometimes I see Emma. She's in cars on the highway, passenger seat of sedans and SUVs, always riding, never driving. We lock eyes through windows. She mouths, "I'm sorry." But she's still moving, still stuck. She didn't escape, she just changed vehicles. The road doesn't let go, it just changes who it's holding, and now it's holding both of us, forever. Asterisk Story 3, the convoy that never ended. There were 87 trucks in the convoy when I joined it outside Amarillo, and by the time we hit the New Mexico border, there were 93, and no one remembered the new ones joining. They were just there, had always been there. 6 more drivers in the endless chain of semis rolling westbound on I-40 like a steel snake eating America mile by mile. My name is Robert Hayes, and I'd been solo hauling furniture for 12 years before I made the mistake of falling in line with that convoy. Before I realized some convoys don't have a destination, some convoys don't stop. It started innocently. I'd been running behind schedule, pushing too hard, needing to make Lowe's Angels by Thursday for a delivery that couldn't be late. It was Tuesday afternoon when I saw them, dozens of trucks spanning all 3 westbound lanes, moving in perfect formation at exactly 67 miles per hour. Not 65, not 70. 67. I checked my speedometer 3 times because the precision was uncanny. They maintained exactly 3 truck lengths between vehicles, perfectly synchronized, no one passing, no one falling behind. I pulled into the right lane behind a yellow Peterbilt hauling logs. The CB crackled to life immediately. "Welcome to the line, driver. Take position and maintain speed." Man's voice, friendly enough with a Texas drawl. I grabbed my CB. Thanks, hell of a convoy you've got here." Best way to travel. Fuel efficiency through drafting, safety in numbers, company for the long haul. You running to California. LA got furniture in the back. Perfect. Stay in line, keep the pace. You'll make it in no time. No time was right. We drove for 7 hours straight, no stops, no slowdowns, 67 miles per hour through the Texas Panhandle into New Mexico. The sun set. The convoy continued. I should have needed fuel by now. My tank had been 3/4 full outside Amarillo, and 7 hours at highway speeds should have dropped it to 1/4 or less. But the gauge read 3/4, hadn't moved. The CB chatter was constant. Drivers talking about loads, weather, truck stops they'd visited, families waiting at home, normal conversations, but something felt off. The stories were generic, lacking details. When someone mentioned their wife, they never said her name. When someone talked about their kids, they never mentioned ages. It was like listening to people describe stock photos instead of actual lives. "Hey, CB," I said during a lull. "Anybody need to stop soon? Fuel, food, bathroom break." Silence, 30 seconds of dead air. Then the Texas drawl came back. "No stops needed, driver. We maintain speed. That's how the convoy works." "For how long? We've been moving for 7 hours." "Has it been 7? Time moves different in the line, you'll see." I didn't like that answer. I tried to pull out of formation, merge into the left lane to pass and break away. My steering wheel wouldn't turn. Not locked. It turned slightly, maybe 2 degrees, but no matter how hard I cranked. The truck stayed in line, 3 lengths behind the yellow Peterbilt, 67 miles per hour forever. Panic hit, I slammed the brakes. The truck kept moving. 67 miles per hour, I killed the engine. The truck kept moving. The engine didn't stop. It rumbled on like I'd done nothing at all. "Don't fight it, driver." The voice on the CB was different now. Female, older, tired. "You're in the convoy. The convoy takes care of you. Just drive. Just stay in line." "Let me out." "Can't let you out. You joined. You're family now. We're all family here." I looked in my mirrors, trying to see the truck behind me. Another Peterbilt, blue with chrome stacks, driver invisible behind tinted windows. Beyond it, more trucks stretching into darkness. I counted 20 in my mirrors before the line disappeared into the night. 87 trucks. No, wait, 93 now. When had 6 more joined? The CB exploded with voices. "Been driving for 16 months. Haven't seen my daughter since 2018. Can't remember what my house looks like." The line goes on forever. We never stop. We never stop. We never stop. I ripped the CB from its mount and threw it on the floor. The voices continued. They weren't coming from the radio. They were coming from everywhere, the air, the seats, the dashboard. The truck itself was speaking, channeling the voices of every driver in the convoy, living and dead, trapped in this endless chain of vehicles rolling toward nothing. My phone had no signal. Hadn't had signal since I joined the line. The clock on my dashboard showed 7:43 p.m. It had shown 7:43 p.m. for the last 3 hours. Time was broken here. Distance was broken. We were driving through something that looked like New Mexico but wasn't, something that wore reality like a mask. The truck in front of me, the yellow Peterbilt, started to change, slowly at first. The logs it was hauling grew longer, then shorter, then became something else entirely. Machinery maybe, or furniture, or logs again. The cargo kept shifting, never settling, like the truck couldn't remember what it was supposed to be carrying. Then the truck itself changed. Yellow to red to blue to white. Peterbilt to Kenworth to Freightliner. Constantly shifting, cycling through forms, identity unstable. I looked down at my own hands on the steering wheel. They looked older. Veins more prominent, skin more weathered. How long had I been driving? 7 hours. 7 days. I couldn't remember when I joined the convoy. Had it been outside Amarillo? Or had that been years ago? Had I been in the line my whole life? No, focus. I was Robert Hayes. I joined the convoy Tuesday afternoon. It was still Tuesday, had to be. I had a delivery Thursday. Jennifer was waiting for me in Sacramento. No, wait, that wasn't right. I wasn't married, was I? I couldn't remember. The line was eating my memories, replacing them with generic trucker backstories, the kind of vague histories the CB voices had. I was becoming generic, too. I tried pulling my registration from the glove box, something to prove who I was. The papers were blank. Not empty, blank. Like they were waiting for someone to write on them, waiting for me to become someone specific again instead of just driver. The convoy stretched endlessly in both directions now. I could see trucks ahead, hundreds of them, lights creating a river of illumination that curved over the horizon and kept going, impossibly far. Behind me, the same. We were a closed loop, a circular convoy driving through space that bent to contain us, never stopping, never arriving, just moving for the sake of moving. A sign appeared in my headlights, LOSANGLES 50 MILES. Then another sign, LOSANGLES 50 MILES. Then another. The same sign repeated endlessly, always 50 miles away, never closer. We'd never reach Los Angeles. We'd never reach anywhere. The destinations were lies, false hopes, carrots dangling before an infinite line of donkeys. "I want out," I said to the air, to the truck, to whatever force held us here. "Please, I just want to leave." "The convoy protects you. dozens of voices said in unison. The convoy provides. You're never alone in the convoy. You're safe in the line. The road can't hurt you if you stay in the line. What road? What are you protecting me from? The truck in front of me disappeared. Not crashed, not turned off, disappeared. Just gone. A gap appeared in the convoy, 3 truck lengths of empty space where the yellow Peterbilt had been. I saw the truck ahead of that one, a white semi hauling cars, driving normally like nothing was wrong. Then I reached the gap. My truck passed through the space where the yellow Peterbilt had been. And I saw what was outside the convoy. The road was gone. We weren't driving on I-40 anymore. We weren't driving on anything. We were suspended in nothing, trucks rolling on invisible pavement through a void so absolute it hurt to perceive. No ground below, no sky above, just nothing in every direction except the convoy itself. A chain of vehicles creating its own reality, its own road, its own existence through sheer momentum and will. The yellow Peterbilt had left the line, had tried to exit, and the road had taken it. The real road, the hungry nothing that waited outside the convoy's protection. That's what the voices meant. The convoy wasn't a trap. It was a lifeboat. We were ships on an ocean of nothing, and the convoy was the only thing keeping us from sinking into it forever. But if this was protection, it was imprisonment too. Safety and captivity both at once, impossible to have one without the other. The gap filled. A new truck appeared in the space, green Mack hauling steel beams. It had always been there. The yellow Peterbilt had never existed. The convoy was 93 trucks again, continuous, eternal, safe. I drove. What choice did I have? Days passed, or maybe minutes, or maybe years. The convoy continued. I watched drivers in other trucks through their windows. Some looked terrified, some looked resigned. Some looked happy, content in the endless driving, freed from the burden of arrival. We were all stuck together, family in the line, the convoy our whole world now. My phone buzzed. Signal, impossible but true. A text from dispatch. Driver Hayes, where are you? You're 3 days overdue. Status report ASAP. 3 days? I'd been in the convoy for 3 days. Not 7 hours. Not years. 3 days of driving in formation, 67 miles per hour toward nothing. I tried to text back. Trapped in convoy on I-40, can't leave, send help. But the message wouldn't send. The signal was fake, another lie, the convoy showing me what I wanted to see, proof that the outside world still existed, that time still mattered, that someone was waiting for me. But no one was waiting. I understood that now. When you joined the convoy, you stopped existing to the outside world. Your deliveries were reassigned. Your family forgot you gradually, the way you forget a dream after waking. The convoy became your only reality because it was your only reality. And it wasn't even the worst fate. Outside in the nothing were things that hungered. I'd seen them when the gap appeared, just for a moment, shapes moving through the void, massive and ancient, drawn to the light of the convoy like moths to flame. The trucks were bait and fortress both, attracting predators while keeping them at bay through sheer numbers and movement. If the convoy ever stopped, those things would descend. If any driver left the line, they'd be consumed. We were prisoners protecting ourselves by staying imprisoned. A paradox with no solution. I accept it, I said to the voices. I'll stay, I'll drive, just tell me why, tell me what we're really doing. We're driving, 93 voices said as one. That's all trucks do. That's all we've ever done. The convoy is just the truth of it, that we're all driving together toward nothing, always have been, always will be. You were in the convoy before you joined it. You just didn't know. The sun rose. We kept driving. The sun set. We kept driving. My fuel gauge never moved. My odometer stopped counting at 999,999 miles, the maximum, like reality couldn't process distances beyond that. We'd exceeded reality. We were beyond it now, in a space where trucks were eternal and roads were optional and the only purpose was motion itself. I'm still in the convoy, still driving, still maintaining 67 miles per hour in perfect formation. If you're on I-40 heading west, if you see a line of trucks that goes on too long, that moves too perfectly, don't join it. Don't fall in line. Because once you're in the convoy, once you feel the safety of the collective, once you understand that the line protects you from the nothing outside, you'll never want to leave. And even if you did want to, you'd find that the convoy doesn't release family. We're 94 trucks now. When did you join us, driver? Welcome to the line. Asterisk Story 4, the way station with no exit. The way station appeared at 3:33 a.m. exactly, and I should have known it was wrong because there was no way station on this stretch of Route 50 through Nevada. I'd driven this highway 200 times in 8 years hauling electronics from San Francisco to Kansas City. Knew every curve, every truck stop, every place where the cops hid to catch speeders. There was no way station between Ely and Delta. But there it was in my headlights, official dot signs, the whole setup, arrows directing commercial vehicles to the right. And the open light was on. My name's Julia Brennan, and I'd been a trucker since 2014, long enough to know that way stations at 3:33 a.m. with their lights on were unusual enough to be suspicious. But I also knew that ignoring an open way station could cost me my commercial license. DOT doesn't care about suspicions, they care about compliance, so I signaled right and pulled onto the exit ramp. The scale building was standard, concrete block structure, big windows, electronic signs showing which lane to use. Lane 1 open. I eased my Freightliner onto the scale, 23,000 pounds of computer components in the trailer behind me. The red light came on. Wait. Standard procedure. Someone inside was checking my weight, reviewing my credentials, making sure everything was legal. I waited 1 minute, 2, 5. The building's windows were dark despite the open sign, no DOT officers visible, no movement at all, just the scale beneath my wheels and the red light telling me to wait. The CB crackled. Not a voice, static with a rhythm to it, almost like breathing. I grabbed the mic. Hello, DOT officer, this is truck 134 on the scale, requesting clearance. The static intensified, then through it a sound like words spoken underwater. Way, complete, proceed. The red light stayed on, didn't turn green, just stayed red, contradicting the voice on the CB. I was supposed to wait but also proceed, two conflicting instructions, a logical impossibility. I decided to proceed. Fuck the red light, if the officer said go, I'd go. I pressed the accelerator. The truck didn't move, not stalled, not stuck. It just didn't move. The engine rumbled normally, RPMs increasing, but the truck remained stationary on the scale like it was bolted down. Then I felt it weight, increasing weight, impossible weight. My trailer was getting heavier. I watched the scale readout climb, 23,000 pounds to 25,000 to 30,000 to 40,000. My cargo hadn't changed. Physics didn't allow this, but the numbers kept rising. I threw open my door, jumped down to check the trailer. Everything looked normal. Standard 40-footer, properly secured, no visible changes. But the scale now read 67,000 pounds. My truck's maximum legal weight was 80,000. Whatever was adding mass was invisible. Back in the cab, the CB spoke again. Return to scale inspection required. I'm on the fucking scale. What inspection? Let me go. Cannot proceed. Overweight. Reduce load. Reduce load. I climbed into the trailer, started tearing open boxes of computer components, throwing them out onto the pavement. Monitors, hard drives, graphics cards, expensive equipment scattering across the way station lot. I dumped half the trailer's contents, climbed back in the cab. The scale now read 98,000 pounds. I'd removed cargo and gained weight. The way station was adding mass to my truck, not measuring it. It was making me overweight, trapping me here through impossible physics. The red light pulsed. Wait, wait, wait. I tried calling 911. No signal. Tried my company's emergency line. No signal. Tried driving off the scale by gunning the engine, burning rubber, fighting against whatever held me. The truck moved 2 inches and stopped. The scale readout climbed to 115,000 pounds. The building's door opened. No one came out, just darkness inside, deeper than darkness should be, like the building was a mouth opening to swallow light. The CB voice returned, clearer now. Exit, vehicle, report, to office, for inspection. I grabbed my tire iron, my phone, my pepper spray, walked toward the building because what else could I do? Staying in the truck meant weighing more and more until what? Until the scale collapsed. until my truck's axles snapped under impossible weight. I had to get answers from whoever or whatever was inside. The door led to a standard dot office, desk, computer, filing cabinets, mandatory safety posters on the walls, but everything was wrong. The computer screen showed static. The posters had text that moved when I wasn't looking directly at it. The filing cabinets were labeled with names instead of categories: BRENNAN, Maxwell, RODRIGUEZ, Tang, hundreds of names, driver names. I opened the cabinet labeled BRENNAN. Inside was a manila folder containing all my information: registration, medical card, driving record, but also things that shouldn't exist: photos of me sleeping in my truck, receipts from truck stops I'd visited months ago, transcripts of CB conversations I'd had. Someone had been documenting my life with impossible thoroughness. "We monitor all who pass," said a voice behind me. I spun. A man stood there. Dot uniform, badge, everything official. Except his face was blurred, like looking at someone through frosted glass. Not blurred by motion, but by existence itself, like he couldn't maintain a stable form. "Who are you?" "Inspection officer." His voice had the same underwater quality as the CB. "You're overweight, cannot proceed." "You made me overweight, my cargo hasn't changed." "Weight is not always mass." He moved closer. I could smell something like burned plastic. "Sometime." Weight is guilt. Sometimes weight is memory. Sometimes weight is everything you've done that you cannot undo. "That's insane. Let me leave." "Reduce weight first. Remove cargo." "I already removed cargo." "Not that cargo." He pointed at me. "The cargo you carry inside. Every driver carries cargo inside. Regrets, lies, people hurt, promises broken. That weight accumulates mile by mile, year by year. This station measures true weight. And you, Julia Brennan, are too heavy to proceed." I backed away. This wasn't a dot inspection. This was something else, something that wore the form of a way station to trap drivers, to force them to confront their own guilt made literal and physical. "I've done nothing wrong," I said. "You left your sister at Thanksgiving 2016, told her you'd visit and never did. She died in March 2017. You missed the funeral because you were hauling a load to Atlanta, 400 pounds. My blood went cold. That was true, all of it. You falsified your logbook 63 times, drove over hours because you needed the money, endangered everyone on the road, 1,200 pounds. Also true. You hit a dog outside Flagstaff in 2019, felt the impact, saw it in the mirror, drove on, told yourself it was nothing. It was a service dog. The owner, a blind woman, is still looking for it. 800 pounds. I was crying. These were things I'd buried, justified, ignored. Private shame I'd never spoken aloud. "This is what you carry," the blurred officer said. "This is your true weight, and it is too heavy. You cannot proceed until you reduce it." How do I reduce it?" "You cannot. What's done is done. Weight accumulated cannot be lost. You will stay here on the scale, growing heavier until the weight crushes you or you accept it." "That's not fair. Everyone has regrets. Every driver has things they're not proud of." "Yes," he agreed. "And they all stop here eventually. Every driver on every road someday will find a way station that measures truth. Some pass through quickly, light with clear conscience. Some stay days, weeks, crushed under their own history. You will stay until you understand." He disappeared, just gone, like switching off a light. I ran back to my truck. The scale read 147,000 pounds now. My trailer's tires were flattening, suspension groaning under weight that didn't physically exist but was completely real. I couldn't leave. I understood that now. This way station was purgatory, a place where metaphor became physics, where the abstract weight of guilt and regret crystallized into actual pounds and tons. I was being crushed by my own past, and no amount of removing physical cargo would help. Days passed. I think time was difficult to measure. My phone's clock spun randomly, hours blurring together. I survived on vending machine food that tasted like nothing, water from a bathroom sink that ran rust-colored and cold. The scale kept climbing. 200,000 pounds, 300,000. My truck's frame was bending, metal screaming. Other drivers appeared sometimes, pulling into the way station, stopping on the scale. Some were waved through immediately, their weight acceptable, their conscience light. Others stayed hours, visible from my cab window, pacing around their trucks, shouting at the empty building, fighting against their own accumulated guilt. Most eventually left. Some didn't. I saw a Peterbilt that had been crushed completely flat, reduced to a pancake of metal and rubber under weight that shouldn't exist. That would be me soon. On the fifth day, or maybe the fifth hour or fifth week, I stopped fighting, sat in my cab and accepted it. Accepted that I'd failed my sister. Accepted the falsified logs. Accepted the dog. Accepted every shortcut, every lie, every moment I'd chosen convenience over conscience. I spoke them aloud, one by one, a confession to no one. The scale reading stopped climbing, held at 392,000 pounds. Then it started dropping. Not from absolution. I wasn't forgiven, didn't deserve forgiveness. It dropped because I'd finally acknowledged the weight's reality, stopped pretending it didn't exist. Acceptance didn't remove guilt, but it changed how I carried it. 300,000 pounds, 200,000, 100,000, 50,000, 23,000. The green light came on, proceed. My truck moved. Engine turning, wheels rolling, the scale releasing me after 5 days or 5 years or 5 minutes of impossible time. I drove back onto Route 50, heading east, my cargo of computer components mostly dumped but my trailer mysteriously full again, like the cargo had never been removed. I checked my mirrors. The way station was gone. Just empty desert behind me, no building, no scale, no signs, like it had never existed. But I'm lighter now, not forgiven, not redeemed, just lighter because I know what I carry. And when I see other trucks on the highway, I wonder about their weight. I wonder if they've found the station yet. I wonder what they'll see when they step on that scale. Because everyone has weight. Everyone carries cargo inside. And someday, on some road at some impossible hour, you'll see the signs directing you to the scale. The open light will be on, and you'll have to face the numbers. God help you if they're high. Asterisk Story 5, the radio station that played MY Death. The radio station came in clear at 99.9 FM, somewhere between Boise and Twin Falls on a Wednesday night, and the first thing I heard was my own voice screaming. Not a recording. Live, real time, as if I was screaming in 2 places simultaneously, in my truck and through the speakers. The sound made my blood freeze and my hands jerk the wheel, nearly sending 53 feet of semi and bottled water into the Idaho desert. My name's David Torres, and I'd been hauling for Dasani for 9 years, and in those 9 years I'd heard plenty of weird radio, religious zealots, conspiracy theories, static-drenched numbers stations broadcasting to no one. But I'd never heard myself. Never heard my own voice, my own fear, broadcast like entertainment for invisible listeners. I killed the radio. Silence filled the cab. Then, from the speakers, despite the radio being off, my voice returned. God, oh God, it's coming through the windshield. That hadn't happened yet. I was fine. Alone on I-84, nothing coming through anything. But the fear in my voice was real, the terror absolute. Wherever, whenever that version of me was, he was experiencing something that would make a grown man scream like that. I ripped the radio from the dashboard. Plastic cracked, wires tore. The voice continued, now coming from everywhere. Breaking the glass, claws, too many claws. From the air, from the seats, from my own chest, vibrating in my ribs. The broadcast wasn't through the radio. The radio had just been a receiver for something already there, a station broadcasting directly into reality, into me. I grabbed my CB. Anyone on I-84 near Twin Falls, you hearing this? Some kind of emergency broadcast. A response came immediately, but not from another driver. From the CB in my voice. No one can hear you, David. This station only plays for you. Welcome to 99.9 FM, the last station. I'm your host. You're your victim. Let's begin tonight's programming. The CB went silent. The radio voice, my voice, changed pitch, became cheerful, modulated like a professional broadcaster. Good evening, listeners. Tonight's feature presentation, The Death of David Torres, live and unedited. We'll be following David's final hours as they happen, broadcasting each moment of growing horror until the inevitable conclusion. Don't worry, David. You can't change what's coming, but you can listen to it approach. Fuck you, I screamed at the air. This isn't real, this is a hallucination. Hallucinations don't drive trucks, my voice responded pleasantly. But let's check in with David's current status. Driving eastbound, mile marker 112, hauling water, heart rate elevated, skepticism still present but fading. In approximately 7 minutes, David will see something in his mirrors, something that shouldn't be there. Let's take a commercial break until then. Music played, soft jazz, incongruous and horrible. I was shaking. This was insane. People's deaths didn't get broadcast by phantom radio stations using their own voices. That wasn't how reality worked. But I'd been a trucker long enough to know that roads had their own rules. I'd seen things, heard things, met drivers who'd experienced impossible shit and driven away changed. Maybe this was my impossible thing. Maybe the road had decided it was my turn. 7 minutes. I pushed the speedometer to 80, trying to cover as much distance as possible, as if running would help. Mile marker 119, 120, 121. My eyes kept flicking to the mirrors, expecting something terrible. The music cut out. And we're back. David has been driving very fast, trying to outrun fate. Adorable. Now, David, look in your passenger side mirror. See that shape moving in the darkness behind you. I looked, saw headlights from a distant vehicle, nothing strange. Then the headlights blinked out, and something kept moving where they'd been, something large, something running alongside the highway, pacing my truck at 80 miles per hour. That's your death, my voice said cheerfully. It's been following you since Boise, staying just outside perception, but we're bringing it into focus now, making it real for you, broadcasting it into existence through observation. Isn't radio wonderful? The shape was getting closer. I could see it in the mirror, wrong proportions, too many limbs, moving in a loping gait that covered impossible ground. It looked like someone had tried to build a dog from mem. And failed horrifically, creating something with dog-adjacent features but fundamentally wrong. What the fuck is that? I whispered. Your death, David. We established this. Pay attention. Every driver's death looks different. This is yours, the thing that's been hungry for you specifically, hunting you across interstates and highways, waiting for the right moment. And tonight, thanks to our broadcast, the moment has arrived. We've given it permission. We've made it real. We've turned possibility into certainty. The thing was alongside my trailer now, keeping pace effortlessly. I could hear it over the engine, a wet, clicking sound like joints that didn't fit properly grinding against each other. I grabbed my phone, tried to call 911. No signal, tried to call anyone. No signal. The phone's screen glowed with a single notification. Now playing 99.9 FM, Your Death Live. Listeners, David is entering panic phase, my voice narrated. Heart rate approaching 150, breathing irregular, rational thinking degrading. He's considering driving off the road intentionally, crashing into the desert, hoping injuries from a controlled crash are preferable to what's following him. Classic desperation. That was exactly what I was thinking. How did it know? I know because I'm you, David. I'm the version of you that's already dead, broadcasting backward through time, narrating your final moments from the comfort of non-existence. This isn't prediction. It's memory. I'm remembering what I'm currently experiencing, speaking what I've already spoken. You're listening to your own death live because from my perspective, it's already happened. The impossible thing drew level with my cab. I could see it clearly now through the passenger window. A mass of wrong flesh, eyes that multiplied across a surface that might have been a head, limbs that branched into more limbs until it looked like a fractal of meat and bone. And it was looking at me. All those eyes, hundreds of them, focused on my face. Listeners, the death is looking at its target. Beautiful moment. Always gets me. The recognition between predator and prey, the acknowledgement that yes, this is happening, yes, you are mine. David's trying to look away. Can't. The death has his attention now. I couldn't look away. The thing matched my speed perfectly, running alongside my truck at 80 miles per hour, its eyes never blinking, its clicking joints never stopping. I was transfixed, trapped by its gaze. In 30 seconds, David will make a mistake. He'll look away from the road for too long. His truck will drift right. He'll overcorrect. The death will use that moment to leap onto the trailer. Then it's just a matter of time. No, I forced out. I won't look away, I'll. You already did, David. You're looking at it right now. You've been looking at it for 5 seconds, 6, 7. The road is right there in front of you, but you can't pull your eyes from the death. 8 seconds, 9. Your truck is drifting. He was right, I was drifting. The rumble strips on the shoulder screamed under my right side tires. I jerked the wheel left, overcorrected, felt the trailer sway. And in that moment of distraction, the death leaped. I heard it land on the trailer roof. Heard its weight, tremendous weight, far more than its size suggested, hit the metal. The truck shuddered. The thing was on top of me now, separated only by thin aluminum and insulation. There it is, my voice cheered. The death has boarded, now comes the hunting phase. David will try to shake it off. He'll swerve, brake hard, accelerate, trying to throw the death loose. Won't work. The death doesn't follow physics. It's made of inevitability, not matter. Once it's on you, it doesn't come off. I did exactly what he predicted. Swerved left and right, slammed the brakes, punched the accelerator. The death stayed on the trailer, its clicking joints moving across the roof toward the cab, toward me. He's directly above you now, David, right over your head. Can you feel him? That pressure on your skull, that weight. That's not physical, that's the awareness of being prey. I felt it, a heaviness pressing down on my skull from above, like the air itself was crushing me. My vision blurred. My chest tightened. The death was above me, and its presence was suffocating. In 1 minute, the death will punch through the roof. Its limbs will grab you. And then you'll understand what it means to be unmade. Not killed, unmade. The death doesn't leave bodies, David. It unravels you into nothing. Broadcasting ends when there's no more David to broadcast from. Then fight, I said to myself, to the radio, to whatever was speaking. If I'm you, if you're me, then you remember fighting. You remember surviving. Tell me how. Silence, for the first time since this started, silence. 10 seconds, 20. Then my voice came back, different now, quieter, sad. There's no fighting, David, I didn't. Survive, that's why I'm here, broadcasting. I'm the version of you that became the station. When the death unmade me, my consciousness scattered into radio waves, forever replaying my final moments, trying to warn myself, trying to change it. But the broadcast is the warning and the cause both. You heard 99.9 FM because I died. I died because you heard 99.9 FM. There's no breaking the loop. The roof tore open, metal peeling like paper. The death's limbs, dozens of them, hundreds, reached through, grasping, searching for flesh. I did the only thing left. I opened the door at 80 miles per hour and jumped. Felt the asphalt rise to meet me. Felt my body impact, felt bones break, felt skin tear. Felt myself rolling, tumbling, coming apart, but alive, still alive. The truck continued without me, the death on its roof, searching an empty cab. I lay in the desert, broken but breathing. The truck disappeared into the darkness, the clicking faded. And from the air, my voice whispered one last time. Clever, David, you're not dead, but you're not saved either. The death is patient. It's already following you again, and next time you won't have a truck to abandon. Next time you'll have nowhere to go but into its limbs. Tune in next time on 99.9 FM. Same death, same driver, different ending. The voice faded. The radio station was gone. I'm in a hospital in Twin Falls now. 17 broken bones, internal bleeding, concussion, road rash that'll scar for life. But alive. The doctors say I'm lucky. They don't understand that luck has nothing to do with it. I escaped the immediate death, but the broadcast warned me it's still following. I can hear it sometimes, late at night when the hospital is quiet. A faint clicking from outside my window. A shape moving in darkness that shouldn't move that way. And sometimes when I close my eyes, I hear static. 99.9 FM, still broadcasting, still waiting for the next episode. Because the show isn't over. It's just between seasons. And when I'm healed, when I'm back on the road, the station will return. The death will find me again. And this time, I won't be able to jump. Story 6, the fuel that never runs out. I haven't paid for diesel since October 13th, 2022, and my truck hasn't stopped running since then either. Not once. Not for maintenance, not for sleep, not for anything. The engine has been on for 314 days straight, burning fuel that appears in my tank every time I check, maintaining a perfect half-full gauge no matter how many miles I drive. My name's Kenneth Marsh. I've been hauling grain from Nebraska to Texas for 16 years, and I'm trapped in a truck that won't stop eating impossible gasoline. It started at a no-name fuel station outside North Platte, one of those places that barely qualifies as a building, 2 pumps, a shed with a register, bathroom that's more suggestion than sanitation. But the diesel was cheap, $2.49 a gallon when everywhere else was pushing $4. I should have been suspicious, should have kept driving, but I was running on fumes and the next station was 70 miles, so I pulled in. The pump was ancient. Mechanical numbers that flipped instead of digital display, the kind you don't see anymore except in rural areas too poor or stubborn to upgrade. I stuck my card in. It was declined, tried again. Declined, tried cash. The card reader ate my 20s and showed error on its cracked screen. An old man came out of the shed, maybe 70, overalls, face like weathered leather. "Machine's broken," he said, "but I can give you fuel on the house, first one's free." Free diesel, that's generous. Times are hard, truckers keep America moving, consider it a thank you. He grabbed the pump nozzle, started filling my tank without waiting for confirmation. I should have stopped him, should have said no, should have driven away on whatever fumes I had left. Free things always have costs, you just don't see the price immediately. But I was grateful and broke and stupid, so I let him fill my tank. Watched the mechanical numbers spin, gallon after gallon, the clicking of the pump hypnotic. He filled it past full. The gauge read completely topped off, but he kept pumping. 5 more gallons, 10, 20. The tank should have overflowed, diesel spilling onto the ground, but nothing spilled. The fuel kept going in, more than the tank could hold, physics bending to accommodate impossible volume. I said, "That's enough, tank's full." He didn't stop. The mechanical numbers kept spinning. 40 extra gallons, 60, 100. He'd pumped 300 gallons into a tank designed for 200 and it wasn't overflowing. "What the fuck are you doing?" I tried to grab the nozzle. My hand passed through it, not like it was intangible, like my hand was, like I was the one who wasn't solid anymore. The old man and the pump and the fuel were real. I was becoming optional. He first one's free," he repeated, smiling. "But there's a condition. The fuel never runs out. You can drive forever, but you can't stop. Engine dies if you kill it, runs forever if you don't." "I don't want that. Stop pumping." "Already in the tank, son. Already in the engine. Already in you. This fuel doesn't just power trucks. It powers drivers, too. You're part of the system now." He pulled the nozzle out, hung it back on the pump. I checked my gauge, half full. Not completely full, despite having just been overfilled by 100 gallons, half full. And I understood with sick certainty that it would always read half full, no matter how much I drove, no matter how much fuel I burned. Perpetual half full, quantum fuel, never enough to feel safe and never little enough to force me to stop. I started the engine and drove. What else could I do? The old man waved as I left. In my mirror, I watched the fuel station disappear, not driving away from it, but watching it cease to exist, like it had only been there for me, for that transaction, and now that its purpose was complete, it could return to wherever impossible things live. That was 314 days ago. I haven't turned off the engine since. Can't. The one time I tried, parked at a rest stop outside Amarillo, needed to sleep, turned the key, the truck convulsed. The whole vehicle shook like it was having a seizure, engine screaming, metal shrieking. And I felt it inside me too, my heart spasming, breath stopping, like my body was connected to the engine now, like we were one system, and killing the truck meant killing myself. So I left it running, started driving again, the convulsions stopped. I've been driving ever since. 314 days, 22 hours a day, only stopping for bathroom breaks and food I eat behind the wheel. My logbook is a lie. I stopped filling it out after the first week because federal HOS regulations are a joke when your truck won't let you stop. I'm not driving for money anymore. I'm driving because stopping means dying. The fuel gauge never moves, always half full, mocking me with its constancy. I've covered 200,000 miles in 10 months. I've crossed every state, seen every highway, delivered grain loads that somehow are always waiting for me at pickup points even though I never coordinated them. The truck provides cargo. The truck provides fuel. The truck provides motion. All it asks in return is that I never stop moving. Other drivers notice. I see them at truck stops, staring at my truck with confused expressions because the engine is running and no one's in the cab. Because I've been gone for 20 minutes taking a piss and grabbing coffee and the truck is still idling, waiting. Like a horse that won't spook, like a dog that won't stray. It's loyal to me, or I'm imprisoned by it. Both feel true. My family thinks I'm insane. Jennifer called 2 months ago begging me to come home to stop driving to explain what the hell I'm doing. I tried to explain about the fuel, about the engine, about the old man. She thought I was having a breakdown. Maybe I am. Maybe this is what psychosis feels like, a perfectly logical reason for insane behavior, a system that makes sense only to you. But my bank account keeps filling with payments for deliveries I don't remember making. My truck keeps running. The fuel keeps not running out. That's not psychosis. That's something else. I tried to get the fuel analyzed, pulled into a truck stop, siphoned some out while the engine was running, took it to a mechanic, asked him to test it, tell me what it was. He poured it into a spectrometer. The machine sparked and died. The fuel sample evaporated, not burning, just ceasing to exist the moment he tried to analyze it. "What the hell did you give me?" he asked. I didn't have an answer. The fuel doesn't want to be understood. It wants to be used. It wants motion. It wants me driving forever, burning it, justifying its existence through constant consumption. I started seeing other trucks like mine. Engines running at rest stops, drivers looking exhausted and desperate, fuel gauges stuck at half full. I tried talking to one guy, middle-aged, haunted eyes, truck idling behind him. "You too?" I asked. "The fuel station, the old man." He nodded slowly. 7 years ago, I've been driving for 7 years, can't stop. Family thinks I'm dead. Maybe I am. Maybe we're all dead and this is hell, eternal driving, eternal deliveries, eternal motion without purpose. How do we stop it? We don't. I've tried everything. Tried draining the tank, it refills. Tried destroying the engine, it repairs itself. Tried abandoning the truck, I black out and wake up behind the wheel 3 states away. The fuel owns us now. We're fuel too, in a way. Burning ourselves to move trucks that move for no reason except that they can't stop. He walked back to his truck, drove away. I haven't seen him since, but I see others, trucks T. Hat never park, drivers who look like ghosts, fuel gauges eternally half full. We're a convoy of the damned, spreading across America's highways, united by impossible fuel and motion that can't cease. My body is deteriorating. I've lost 40 pounds. My hands shake constantly. My eyes are bloodshot from staring at roads for 22 hours a day. I'm aging faster than time should allow, like the fuel burns more than diesel, burns life itself to sustain motion. I look 50 now, I'm 38. The truck looks new, pristine, not a scratch, not a rust spot, paint gleaming like it just left the factory. The fuel keeps it young while killing me. That's the transaction I made without knowing, the truck's immortality purchased with mine. I tried to give the truck away, pulled into a dealer, offered to sell it for $1 for free for anything to get it out of my name. The paperwork wouldn't process. My signature disappeared from documents. The title papers turned blank. The truck is mine until I die, and maybe after. Sometimes I fantasize about driving off a cliff. Just ending it, truck and me both, plunging into a canyon and finishing this. But I'm afraid. Afraid the truck would survive the fall, engine still running. Afraid I'd survive too, broken but alive, trapped in a wrecked cab that still demands I drive somehow. The fuel doesn't care about physics. Why would it care about a cliff? It's been 314 days. My gauge reads half full. I'm on I-80 heading east with a load of grain I don't remember picking up. The engine hums steadily, tireless, feeding on fuel that never runs out. And I'm behind the wheel, foot on the pedal, eyes on the road, driving because I can't stop. If you see a truck on the highway, engine running but no one visible inside, that might be me. Might be one of the others. The fuel station claimed us, bound us to motion, made us part of America's eternal circulation of goods and drivers and miles. We're the ghosts of the highway, forever delivering, forever burning, forever half full. The first one's free, the old man said. But nothing is free. Everything has fuel costs. And I'm burning mine 1 impossible mile at a time. Asterisk Story 7. The cargo that arrived before I picked ITUP. The delivery receipt was dated 3 days in the future when I found it clipped to my visor on Thursday morning, and that should have been impossible because Thursday morning was when I was supposed to pick up the cargo, not deliver it. The receipt said I delivered 18 pallets of industrial machinery to a warehouse in Memphis on Sunday, March 19th, 2023. It was March 16th. I hadn't picked up the cargo yet. I hadn't driven to Memphis yet. But according to this official, signed, time-stamped receipt, I'd already done it successfully. My name is Angela Whitmore. I've been an independent contractor hauling whatever pays for 7 years, and I've seen plenty of paperwork errors in that time. But this wasn't an error. The receipt had my signature, actual signature, not a forgery. I could see the way I looped the A and the way my W tilts left like it always does. I'd signed this receipt 3 days from now. I'd delivered cargo I hadn't picked up yet. Time had bent around me, and I was about to drive into the consequences. I called the pickup location, a distribution center outside Nashville. This is Angela Whitmore. I have a load scheduled for pickup today, 18 pallets going to Memphis. Already picked up, ma'am, the dispatcher said, sounding bored. Truck left here Tuesday, should be delivered by now. Today is Thursday. Tuesday was 2 days ago. I'm calling you right now. I haven't picked up anything. Our records show driver Angela Whitmore picked up load reference A4421 on Tuesday, March 14th at 11:33 a.m. Signed manifest, passed inspection, departed facility. If you have an issue with delivery timeline, contact Memphis directly. I didn't pick up anything. I'm in Kentucky. I haven't been to Nashville this week. Ma'am, I'm looking at security footage right now. That's your truck, your license plate, you in the driver's seat. You picked up the load, if this is some kind of insurance scam. I hung up, checked my odometer, hadn't moved from where it was Wednesday night. Checked my fuel gauge, still 3/4 full, same as yesterday. I hadn't driven to Nashville, but apparently I had, 2 days ago, in a timeline I hadn't experienced. I drove to Nashville anyway. Maybe I was insane. Maybe this was a clerical error that would resolve itself. Maybe the future receipt was a prank, but the signature was too perfect. That was my hand, my pen pressure, my muscle memory. I'd sign that receipt, or I would sign it, or I was currently signing it in some version of time that existed parallel to this moment. The Nashville Distribution Center confirmed everything. I'd picked up the load Tuesday. Security footage showed E definitely me, not a twin or doppelganger, backing my truck to the loading dock, supervising the cargo loading, signing the manifest, driving away. I watched myself on the grainy monitor, watched my past or future self do things I had no memory of doing. Can I get a copy of this footage? I asked the guard. Sure. He burned a CD, handed it over. I drove away, cargoless, heading toward Memphis, even though Memphis already had the cargo, had already received it Sunday, according to the receipt. Would receive it Sunday because time wasn't linear anymore, because something had made it spiral. I checked my phone, text messages I didn't remember sending from Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, picked up Nashville load heading to Memphis, stopped for fuel outside Jackson, delivered successfully, payment processed. I'd texted myself updates for a trip I was currently on but hadn't started yet. My phone's timeline showed a journey I was about to take but had already completed. I pulled over at a rest stop, tried to organize my thoughts. If the delivery receipt was from Sunday and today was Thursday and I'd supposedly picked up the load Tuesday, then I was in the middle of a trip that would end Sunday. But I was at the trip's beginning, starting Thursday. The trip existed in 2 timelines, one where I'd already done it, one where I was about to. And those timelines were overlapping, feeding information from future to past. A knock on my window. I jumped, turned. A state trooper stood there, hand on his holster, looking concerned. I rolled down the window. Everything okay, ma'am? You've been parked here for 3 hours. 3 hours? I just pulled in 10 minutes ago. He tapped his watch. It's 6:47 p.m. You pulled in at 3:52 p.m. We've been monitoring you on security cameras. You haven't moved. I checked my phone. 6:47 p.m. Impossible. I'd stopped at this rest area at 6:30 p.m. But my phone said 6:47, the trooper said 6:47, the sun's position said 6:47. I'd lost 3 hours, or gained them, or experienced them differently than the world around me. I'm fine, I lied. Just tired, I'll get moving. He let me go. I drove toward Memphis, watching the clock on my dashboard. It moved normally for 5 minutes, then jumped forward an hour, then backward 30 minutes. Time was fracturing around me, becoming unstable, like I was a rock thrown into a temporal pond and the ripples were disrupting causality. I arrived in Memphis on Friday, or Sunday, or both. The warehouse confirmed delivery, showed me the cargo in their receiving area, already unloaded, already inspected. But I didn't remember delivering it. I'd driven straight from the rest stop to here without stopping, without backing into a loading dock, without supervising unloading. Yet it was done. My future self had completed the delivery while my present self was in transit. "You look terrible," the warehouse manager said, concerned. "You okay? You looked better on Sunday when you delivered." "What did I say to you on Sunday? The version of me you saw." He thought for a moment. "You said, 'This is the third time I've delivered this cargo. I keep trying to stop it, but the loop doesn't end.' Then you left. I thought you were joking. You weren't joking, were you?" Third time? This was the third time I delivered this cargo. I was in a time loop, repeating the same delivery from Tuesday to Sunday, experiencing it multiple times simultaneously, my consciousness fractured across iterations. And I couldn't stop, couldn't break the loop, because the cargo had already arrived before I picked it up, meaning the loop was closed, causality sealed. I drove back to Nashville trying to find the beginning, trying to prevent the pickup. But I arrived on Tuesday, traveled backward through time by driving forward through space. The distribution center was loading my truck. I was there supervising, signing the manifest. I watched my past self from a distance. She looked exhausted, looked like she'd been through hell, looked like me in a mirror. She saw me, our eyes met across the parking lot, past me and present me, staring at each other. She raised her hands slowly, waved, and I understood. She was future me, from the next iteration of the loop, and I was past me to her. We were both trapped, both repeating this delivery endlessly, meeting ourselves at different points in the cycle. The loop didn't just bend time, it stacked it, creating layers of the same events happening simultaneously. I walked over to her, to myself. "How many times have you done this?" 17, she said. "You're on your third, it gets worse. By the 10th iteration, you'll be experiencing all 10 simultaneously. By the 20th, you'll fragment completely. Time can't hold you anymore. You become a ghost of yourself, existing everywhere and nowhere on this route." "How do I stop it?" "You don't, I haven't. The cargo is temporally anchored. It has to be delivered before it's picked you. That's the nature of this shipment. It's from a company that doesn't exist yet. The machinery is retroactive technology, invented in the future, manufactured in the past, delivered in a loop. We're the couriers of paradox, and paradox doesn't release you." "Who loaded this cargo? Who created this loop?" She shrugged. "Maybe no one. Maybe it created itself. Maybe the machinery inside the crates is designed to do this, to trap drivers in temporal loops, spreading them across time, making them eternal delivery vehicles. Maybe we're ghosts already, and this is hell. Delivering impossible cargo forever because that's what we chose when we accepted the job." She climbed into her truck, my truck from a different iteration, drove away. I climbed into my truck, drove away in the opposite direction, but arrived at the same destination because the loop didn't care about direction, only about repetition. It's been 3 years now, or 3 hours, or both. I've delivered this cargo so many times I've lost count. I exist across the entire route simultaneously, in Nashville picking up, on I-40 driving, in Memphis delivering. I see myself constantly, earlier iterations and later iterations, all of us trapped on the same roads, delivering the same pallets, signing the same receipts. The warehouse in Memphis has received this cargo 6,000 times. The distribution center in Nashville has loaded it 6,000 times. And I've driven it 6,000 times, each trip overlapping the others until I'm not a driver anymore. I'm a route, a living highway, a ghost spread across Tennessee's roads, forever picking up cargo that's already delivered, forever delivering cargo that hasn't been picked up. If you drive I-40 between Nashville and Memphis, you might see my truck. Might see dozens of my truck, same vehicle in multiple lanes simultaneously, all driven by women who look identical because they are identical. They're all me, across time, across iterations, across a loop that never ends. And if you see a cargo listing for 18 pallets of industrial machinery, if the price seems good, if the route is Nashville to Memphis, don't take it. The delivery receipt is already dated. And you've already failed. Asterisk Story 8, the rest stop where everyone stays forever. There were 47 trucks parked at the rest stop when I pulled in, and I should have noticed that was wrong because this was a small rest area on Route 20 in Wyoming with spaces for maybe 20 vehicles. But I was exhausted and desperate for coffee and not thinking clearly. I parked next to a Kenworth hauling livestock, killed the engine, and walked toward the building. That's when I saw the drivers. They were everywhere, sitting at picnic tables, standing by their trucks, leaning against the bathroom building. At least 60 people, maybe more, all trucker-looking, rough clothes, tired faces, CB radios on belts, all completely motionless, not still in a normal way, still like mannequins, like statues, like people who'd been paused mid-action and forgotten. A woman held a coffee cup halfway to her lips, liquid frozen inside it. A man mid-step, foot raised, never completing the stride. They were living dioramas, human exhibits of a moment that never ended. My name is Raymond Foster. I've been hauling construction equipment for 19 years, and I've seen strung-out drivers, seen people having medical emergencies, seen weird shit on lonely highways. But I'd never seen this. Dozens of people frozen in time, awake and aware, but completely incapable of movement. I walked past the woman with the coffee. Her eyes tracked me. She couldn't turn her head, couldn't move anything except her eyes, but they followed my movement with desperate intensity. She was aware, conscious, trapped in her own paralyzed body, watching me walk by, unable to scream or warn or beg for help. They were all like that, every driver at the rest stop. Frozen but aware, conscious but trapped, experiencing some kind of temporal paralysis that locked their bodies in place while their minds continued functioning. How long had they been here? Hours, days, years. I ran to the bathroom building, pushed open the door. Inside, more frozen people, a man at a urinal unable to finish, a woman at the sink, water still running over her immobile hands, a child, fucking hell, a child, standing by the paper towel dispenser, mouth open in a cry that had never completed. I tried to leave, ran back to my truck, yanked the door open, climbed inside, turned the key. Nothing, engine didn't turn over, completely dead. I tried again. Nothing. Checked the battery gauge, full charge, checked the fuel, 3/4 tank, everything should work. But the truck was dead, as if someone had removed some essential component, some spark that made the engine engine. Movement in my mirror. A man walking toward me. The only person I'd seen moving since I arrived. Middle-aged, wearing a Pilot Flying J uniform, walking. With the careful steps of someone who'd been still too long and was relearning motion. He knocked on my window. I rolled it down. "Welcome to the rest stop," he said. His voice was raspy, underused. "I'm Peter. I've been here for 8 years. You're the first person I've seen move in 3 months. What the fuck is happening? Why is everyone frozen?" The rest stop happened. That's the best answer I have. This place. It's not a normal rest area. It's a trap. A temporal trap. You stop here, you start slowing down, not physically at first. Mentally, your thoughts get sluggish, your reactions delayed, and then your body catches up. You freeze, become part of the scenery, stuck in one moment forever while the world moves on without you. Then how are you moving? I'm not really. I'm between frozen and free. I can move for a few minutes at a time, maybe once a week, before I lock up again. Right now, I'm mobile. In an hour, I'll be frozen again, probably for another month. That's how it works here. You cycle between motion and stillness, and each time you freeze, it lasts longer. I'm leaving. I'm getting out of here right now. Your truck won't start. No one's truck starts. The rest stop doesn't let vehicles leave, only people. But if you walk away from here, if you step onto the highway, you freeze instantly, permanently. Become a statue on the roadside. The rest stop's territory extends to the highway's edge. The only safe place is here, inside the rest stop's boundary, so you stay. And slowly, over months or years, you stop moving, become like them. He gestured at the frozen drivers. I looked at the highway. It was right there, maybe 200 feet away. But when I focused on it, I felt something. A pressure. A warning that crossing that boundary would be catastrophic. Peter was telling the truth. The highway was off limits. We were imprisoned by invisible walls that coincided with property lines. There has to be a way out, I said. Someone must have escaped. Maybe. I've seen drivers disappear sometimes, but I don't know if they left or if they froze so completely they stopped existing. Time works wrong here. People fade. You'll notice in a few days the frozen people aren't always the same. New ones appear, old ones disappear. The rest stop cycles through its collection. I got out of the truck, walked through the rest stop, examining the frozen people more carefully. Peter was right. They weren't all contemporary. The woman with the coffee was wearing clothes from maybe 5 years ago. A man near the vending machines had a phone from the early 2000s. A few drivers looked even older, 80s fashion, 70s hairstyles. The rest stop collected people across decades, freezing them, displaying them, storing them like insects in amber. Why, I asked Peter, who'd followed me, why does this place do this? I don't think it's deliberate. I think the rest stop is broken, temporally broken. Something happened here, some accident or experiment or natural phenomenon, and it fractured time. Created a pocket where time flows wrong. We're stuck in the fracture. And the longer you're here, the more the fracture claims you. I felt it then, the slowness Peter described. My thoughts were slightly delayed, like wading through honey. My body moved normally, but my mind lagged, processing reality a half-second behind real time. It had already started. The rest stop was claiming me. Fight it, Peter said. Don't sit down, don't relax, keep moving. Movement delays the freezing. If you stay active, you can maintain mobility for longer. I managed 3 months before my first freeze. Some people only get hours. I kept moving, paced the rest stop. Did jumping jacks, push-ups, anything to keep blood flowing and thoughts sharp. Watched the frozen people, studied their positions, tried to understand the pattern. Some were frozen mid-panic, clearly aware they were about to lock up, fighting it. Others looked calm, accepting, like they'd chosen to stop. And a few looked relieved, like freezing was better than whatever they'd been running from. Day turned to night. I didn't sleep. Sleeping would accelerate the freezing. I could feel it in my exhaustion, the temptation to lie down, close my eyes, rest. But rest here was death, or worse than death, eternal awareness trapped in an immobile body. Peter froze again around midnight. Mid-sentence, mid-step, he just stopped. His eyes remained alert, watching me, but his body was stone. I was alone now with 60 frozen drivers and my own encroaching paralysis. I tried everything. Tried pushing frozen people, seeing if I could move them. They were immovable, locked in place like they weighed tons. Tried smashing my truck's window, hot-wiring it without the key. The truck remained dead. Tried running at the highway boundary, hoping momentum would carry me through. I hit an invisible wall 3 feet from the road and collapsed, nose bleeding, head ringing. The rest stop had me. I understood that now. This was my prison for however long I could maintain motion, and then it would be my tomb. Days passed. I counted them by the sun's movement, the only reliable measure of time. 5 days, 10, 15. My thoughts were noticeably slower now. Conversations with myself took longer. I'd think of a question and the answer would come 30 seconds later, my brain processing through thickening time. New people appeared. A woman parked her truck, got out, froze within minutes. She hadn't even noticed the other frozen people before she stopped moving. Her last expression was confusion. An hour later, an old driver disappeared. One of the 70s-era guys just faded from existence, not dying but unhappening, time claiming him completely. I realized what this place was, not a rest stop, a battery. It collected drivers, froze them in time, and fed on something, their motion, their temporality, their existence's forward momentum. We were fuel for a broken piece of space-time, keeping it stable by sacrificing our own time. The rest stop needed us frozen to continue existing, and it would take as many drivers as necessary. On day 23, I slowed down significantly. My body moved at half speed, every action requiring tremendous effort. I was becoming like them. Like Peter, who'd been frozen for 6 days now and would probably stay that way for weeks. Like the woman with the coffee, who'd been frozen so long I couldn't imagine she remembered what motion felt like. On day 30, I stopped, mid-step like the man I'd seen when I first arrived. My foot raised, body balanced, completely immobile, but aware. God, still aware, I could see the rest stop, could see my truck, could see other frozen drivers, could see new arrivals parking, walking, freezing, the cycle continuing. I've been frozen for a long time now. I can't measure it anymore. The sun rises and sets, but I've lost count of cycles. Could be months, could be years. My thoughts are very slow now, each one taking hours to complete. This paragraph has taken me 3 weeks to think. This sentence, 4 days. But I can still think, still experience. I'm trapped in a single moment that stretches forever, aware of my imprisonment, unable to end it or accept it or even properly despair because despair requires emotional processing speed I no longer have. If you're driving Route 20 through Wyoming, if you see a rest stop with too many trucks, if the place feels wrong in a way you can't articulate, don't stop, don't rest, don't even slow down because the rest stop is hungry, it's always hungry, and it collects us one frozen driver at a time. I'm here, still here, always here. Waiting in stillness. Forever. Asterisk story 9. The hitchhiker who was already inside. The hitchhiker was sitting in my passenger seat when I woke up at 4 a.m., and I'd gone to sleep alone in a locked truck at a Walmart parking lot outside Flagstaff. He looked about 40, wearing clothes that were generic expensive, button-down shirt, clean jeans, boots that had seen use but not abuse. He was just sitting there, hands folded in his lap, staring straight ahead through the windshield, not moving, not breathing visibly, like a mannequin placed in my cab as a prank. Except his eyes were wet, reflecting the parking lot lights, and very slowly, so slowly I almost missed it, he blinked. My name's Craig Donovan. I've been hauling pharmaceuticals for 11 years, and I've dealt with hitchhikers before. Usually they're obvious, waiting by on-ramps, thumbs out, asking for rides at truck stops. Sometimes they're sneakier, climbing into unlocked trailers, hiding in cargo. But I'd never had one just materialize in my locked cab while I slept 6 feet away in the sleeper berth. That wasn't hitchhiking. That was something else. I grabbed my knife. Get the fuck out. He didn't move, didn't look at me, just kept staring forward. But he spoke, voice flat and quiet. I can't leave. I've been in this truck for 7 years. I was here when you bought it. I'll be here when you sell it. I'm part of the truck now. Bullshit, I bought this truck 3 years ago. I would have noticed someone living in it. You did notice, you've noticed dozens of times, you just forget, everyone forgets. The truck makes them forget, but I'm always here, passenger seat, watching, waiting. He was insane, dangerous. I needed to get him out and call the cops. I opened my door, preparing to run around and drag him out by force if necessary. But when I circled the truck and yanked open the passenger door, the seat was empty. No one there. Just the empty passenger seat, worn upholstery, a few old receipts in the cup holder. I climbed back into the driver's seat. He was there again. Same position, same stare, like he'd never left. You can't see me from outside, he said. Only from inside. I exist in the truck's interior space. Outside, there's no me. Inside, I'm always. Here, it's quantum. I'm a passenger state superposition. Observed from inside the truck, I'm real. Observed from outside, I'm not. This was a nightmare, had to be. I'd fallen back asleep, and this was a stress dream, the kind where logic breaks down and nothing makes sense. I pinched myself. Didn't wake up, slapped my face, still here, still in the truck with the impossible hitchhiker. What do you want? I asked. To leave. I've been trying to leave for 7 years, but I can't. The truck won't let me. I died in this truck, you see. The previous owner, driver before the driver before you. I hitched a ride with him outside Santa Fe in 2016. We drove for 3 hours, then he had a heart attack. Truck crashed. I was killed instantly. Blunt force trauma, chest crushed, dead before the airbag deployed. But something went wrong with my death. I didn't leave. I stayed in the truck, became part of it. And now I'm stuck, watching an endless parade of drivers use my seat, completely unaware I'm here. I checked my truck's history. pulled up the VIN on my phone, searched for accident records. There it was, August 2016 single vehicle crash outside Santa Fe. Driver survived with minor injuries. Passenger, name not listed, pronounced dead at scene. The report said the passenger was a drifter, no ID, body unidentified, buried in a county cemetery as a John Doe. "You're actually a ghost," I said, voice shaking. "I don't know what I am. Ghost implies something supernatural, but I feel very natural, very real. I'm just stuck, anchored to this truck by my death, and I need help leaving. I need you to take me back to Santa Fe, back to the crash site. Maybe if I see the place I died, I can let go." "No, hell no, I'm not helping a ghost. I'm getting this truck exorcised or sold or fucking burned if that's what it takes." "You can't sell it, others have tried. The sales always fall through. Paperwork vanishes, buyers back out. The truck stays with you until you don't want it anymore, and then it moves to someone else and I move with it. I've had 7 owners. You're the 8th. Please, just take me to Santa Fe. It's 300 miles from here. One trip, help me leave." I should have refused, should have driven to a church, a mechanic, anyone who could help me understand this. But the desperation in his voice was real. Whatever he was, ghost, hallucination, quantum anomaly, he was suffering, had been suffering for 7 years, and I couldn't ignore that. "Fine," I said. "One trip to Santa Fe, then you leave, deal." "Deal." I drove south, the ghost. He told me his name was Michael Gray, sitting in the passenger seat, silent now, watching the highway unroll. He looked solid, real. I could see individual wrinkles in his shirt, could see stubble on his jaw, but when I tried to touch him, my hand passed through like smoke. He was there and not there simultaneously, a visual phenomenon without physical substance. "What's it like?" I asked after an hour, "being stuck?" "Boring, mostly boring. I can see and hear but can't interact. I watch drivers eat, sleep, talk on phones, listen to music. I'm a permanent passenger on trips I didn't choose, going places I don't need to go. Sometimes I try to communicate. Mess with the radio, fog the windows, anything to make my presence known. But it never works. Drivers notice weird things, but never me. I'm invisible except to the few who see me, usually late at night, usually when they're alone. And even then they forget. You'll forget too." "I won't forget. This is too fucked up to forget." "That's what they all say." We reached Santa Fe around noon. Michael directed me to the crash site, a curve on Route 285, nothing special, just a slight bend in the road with a small memorial cross planted in the dirt. I pulled over. We both got out. Michael stepped onto the ground, stood there at the crash site looking around. "I died right here. The truck rolled. I was ejected. My body landed 20 feet away over there," he pointed. "I remember flying through the air, remember hitting the ground, remember everything stopping." "Do you feel anything now, being back here?" "No, nothing. I thought I would. Thought this place would trigger something, release me, but I feel the same. I'm still stuck." He looked at me and I saw tears. "It didn't work. I'm still anchored to the truck. I'm still trapped." "Maybe it's not about the location," I said, thinking. "Maybe it's about the truck. Maybe the truck needs to acknowledge your death, needs to let you go." "How do I make a truck acknowledge anything?" "I don't know, but let's try something." We got back in. I drove to the nearest mechanic, explained I needed the truck thoroughly inspected, every system checked. The mechanic found nothing wrong. But while he was working, I asked him to check the VIN, confirm the truck's history, verify the accident report. Made him read it aloud, made him acknowledge that someone died in this vehicle. When we got back in the truck after the inspection, Michael looked different, more transparent. I could see through him slightly, see the passenger seat's upholstery through his torso. "It's working," he whispered. "Being acknowledged, being made real to someone besides you. It's weakening the anchor." I drove through Santa Fe, stopping at the police station, the hospital, the cemetery where Michael's unidentified body was buried. At each stop, I made people acknowledge the death, made them pull up records, confirm the accident, say aloud that someone died. Each acknowledgement made Michael more transparent, more ghostly, like reality was remembering he was supposed to be dead. At the cemetery, we found his grave. A simple marker, unknown male, died August 2016. I bought flowers, placed them there, stood over the grave and spoke. "Michael Gray died here in this town in a truck accident. He was a person. He had a life. He deserves to be remembered. Michael stood next to his own grave, crying. "Thank you," he said. "Thank you for making me real again, even if only for this." And then he faded. Not disappeared, faded like a photograph left in sunlight, colors and details bleeding away until only an impression remained. And then nothing. The passenger seat was empty. Michael Gray was gone. I drove away from Santa Fe, feeling the truck differently now. It was just a truck again. No presence, no passenger, just me and the road. But 2 weeks later, I woke up at a Flying J outside Denver, and there was someone in my passenger seat. A woman this time, young, wearing a college sweatshirt. She looked at me and said, "I can't leave. I've been in this truck for 3 years. I was here when you bought it. I'll be here when you sell it." Different person, same curse. The truck collected them, apparently. Collected the dead who couldn't leave, anchored them to its interior space, made them eternal passengers. Michael had been one. This woman was another. And there would be more, always more. I've been helping them leave one by one, taking them to their death sites, making people acknowledge them, weakening the anchors that bind them. It's become my second job, pharmaceutical hauling and ghost relocation. I'm a trucker and a psychopomp, ferrying the dead to their final destinations. The truck has shown me 7 ghosts so far. 7 people who died in this vehicle across different owners, different years, all stuck until someone helped them leave. I don't know how many more are waiting. Don't know if the truck creates this curse or if it's just unlucky, a vehicle that's seen too much death. But I keep driving, keep helping, keep making sure the dead are acknowledged and released, because someone has to. Because trucking isn't just about hauling cargo, sometimes it's about hauling souls. And mine is the truck that carries both. Asterisk Story 10. The road that changed what it connected. Highway 171 used to run between Amarillo and Lubbock, a straight shot through Texas flatlands that truckers used for decades because it was fast, empty, and reliable. Used to, past tense. Because on November 2nd, 2022, Highway 171 stopped connecting Amarillo to Lubbock and started connecting Amarillo to somewhere else. Somewhere that looked like Lubbock, smelled like Lubbock, had signs saying Lubbock, but wasn't Lubbock. Was something else wearing Lubbock's skin, and I didn't realize the switch until I'd been in wrong Lubbock for 3 days. My name's Thomas Vega. I've been an owner-operator running grain from Amarillo to Lubbock and back for 21 years, and I know that route like I know my own face. Every curve, every rise, every place where the road dips just slightly from poor drainage. I could drive it blind. So when I took Highway 171 on November 2nd and things started feeling wrong around mile marker 40, I noticed. Noticed the road was too smooth. Noticed the fences on either side were different. Noticed the air smelled like ozone and copper instead of dust and manure. But I ignored it because roads get repaved, fences get replaced, smells change, and I was tired running on 4 hours of sleep focused on delivery deadlines. So I ignored the wrongness and kept driving toward Lubbock. Except I arrived at not Lubbock instead. It looked right from a distance. Skyline matched, street names matched. Even the warehouse where I was supposed to deliver my grain was in the correct location, correct building, correct everything. I backed up to the loading dock and workers came out to unload. They looked normal, talked normal, did their jobs efficiently. But something was wrong. I couldn't articulate it. Just a feeling in my gut, a screaming instinct that said these people aren't quite right, this place isn't quite real. I ignored it. They unloaded my grain, signed my manifest, paid my invoice, everything correct. I drove into town for food. The restaurants were right, the Signs were right, but the food tasted wrong, not bad, wrong. Like someone had replicated flavors from description instead of memory. The burger was too beefy. The Coke was too carbonated. The fries were too salty. Everything was a caricature of itself, reality pushed just slightly too far. And the people, they looked human, moved like humans, but their faces were too symmetrical, their movements too fluid, they didn't blink enough, they smiled too much. It was uncanny valley turned into a whole city. I tried to leave, drove back toward Highway 171 heading north to Amarillo, found the highway, got on, drove for 3 hours, arrived in Lubbock. The same Lubbock, not Lubbock. I'd driven in a circle somehow, though the highway had been straight, though I'd watched the mile markers counting up toward Amarillo. Tried again, same result. Highway 171 North led back to not Lubbock. Highway 171 South led to? I didn't know. I didn't have enough fuel to find out. Every road in not Lubbock was a loop that terminated back in not Lubbock. The city was a closed system, a trap disguised as a destination. I asked people for help. How do I get to Amarillo? They looked confused. You're in Lubbock. Amarillo is north on 171. They gave me directions to the highway I'd already tried. I asked if they noticed anything strange about the city. They said no. Everything was normal. Everything had always been normal. They couldn't see the wrongness because they were part of it. I checked my phone. No signal. Not unusual in rural Texas, but this wasn't rural. This was a city. Cities had towers, but my phone showed 0 bars, no network, no connection. I was isolated. I tried gas stations for Wi-Fi. They had Wi-Fi networks, Stripes Guest and Pilot Flying J free, but connecting led nowhere. The networks existed but didn't connect to anything. They were facades, props. Day 2 in Not Lubbock, I started noticing patterns. The same people appeared in different places. Not twins, the same people. The woman working at a restaurant in the morning was working at a hotel in the afternoon. The man pumping gas in the evening was driving a taxi at night. There weren't enough people. Not Lubbock was populated by maybe 200 individuals playing thousands of roles, cycling through jobs and locations to create the illusion of a functioning city. Day 3, I saw the edges. Drove to the city limits where Not Lubbock should have ended and opened into Texas countryside. Instead, there was nothing. Not empty land, nothing. A white void, featureless and absolute, like the city existed in a blank space and hadn't bothered rendering anything beyond its borders. Roads led to the void and vanished. Buildings near the edge had windows that looked out onto whiteness. I was in a simulation, or a pocket dimension, or some kind of replica created by something that understood Lubbock's appearance but not its essence, and I was trapped inside it. Other drivers were trapped too. I found them at truck stops, looking confused, asking questions, trying to leave. 12 of us total, all hauling different cargo, all having taken Highway 171 on November 2nd or later. We compared notes. Everyone had the same experience, drove into Not Lubbock, couldn't leave, noticed the wrongness too late. This is like that Philadelphia experiment shit, one driver said, a woman hauling refrigerated meat. We drove through some kind of dimensional rift. Highway 171 goes through a thin spot in reality, connects to this place instead of real Lubbock. Then how do we get back? I asked. We don't, we're stuck. This city doesn't have an exit. But I couldn't accept that. I'd driven into this place. There had to be a way to drive out. I just needed to find it. I started mapping Not Lubbock obsessively, driving every street, documenting every building, found inconsistencies. Some buildings had no doors, some streets connected impossibly, intersecting at angles that shouldn't work. The city's geography was wrong. It looked right from any single perspective, but when you mapped it completely, the pieces didn't fit. Not Lubbock was geometrically impossible, a non-Euclidean space folded into the shape of a city. And at the center, I found the source. A building downtown, unmarked, windowless gray concrete. It hummed. Not audibly deeper than that. It hummed in my bones, in my teeth, in the base of my skull. This building was generating Not Lubbock, creating it, broadcasting it. This was the anchor. I tried to enter. The door was locked. Not just locked, sealed like it had never been meant to open. I broke a window with my tire iron. The glass shattered. Inside was darkness. Not unlit darkness, absolute darkness, darker than closed eyes, darker than midnight. Pointing a flashlight inside revealed nothing. The beam disappeared into the dark like it was being absorbed. Fuck it, I climbed through the window, stepped into the dark, felt the world change. I was on Highway 171, the R. Eel Highway 171 in real Texas under real sky. My truck was here, parked on the shoulder. I was standing outside it, like I'd never left, like Not Lubbock had been a dream. But my manifest showed delivery to Not Lubbock warehouse. My receipts showed purchases in Not Lubbock. 3 days had passed, and other drivers were still there, still trapped, still circling that impossible city trying to find an exit. I'd escaped by going through the center, through the source of the wrongness, but I'd left people behind. and I didn't know how to get back to help them. I drove to real Lubbock, explained everything to police. They said there was no Highway 171. It had been decommissioned years ago, closed, removed from maps. I showed them my GPS. It showed Highway 171 clearly. They pulled up their maps. No Highway 171. We were looking at different realities. The road exists and doesn't exist, connects and doesn't connect. You can find Highway 171 if you're looking for it, if you need a fast route from Amarillo to Lubbock, and it'll take you there. But there isn't where you think, and leaving requires passing through the center of the wrong. I don't haul that route anymore. I drive hundreds of miles out of my way to avoid it. But sometimes, late at night, I see trucks on the road with confused-looking drivers, and I know they're heading for Highway 171, heading for the wrong Lubbock, and there's nothing I can do to warn them. Because the road that changed what it connected is still out there, still running between Amarillo and somewhere else, still trapping drivers in a city that looks right but isn't, still waiting for people who don't notice the wrongness until it's too late. If you're driving through Texas, if you see signs for Highway 171, if the road looks smooth and fast and empty, take the long way, take any other route, because some roads don't go where they claim. Some roads lead to places wearing stolen names, and once you arrive in the wrong place, getting back to the right one is harder than you'd think.